All right, so we are moving on to greenhouse effects and climate change. Life on Earth depends on energy from the sun. About 30% of the sunlight that beams toward Earth is deflected by the outer atmosphere and scattered back into space. The rest reaches the planet's surface and is reflected upwards again as a type of low moving energy called infrared radiation. The heat caused by infrared radiation is absorbed by greenhouse gases such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, ozone, and methane. So I already mentioned this in the beginning about the four greenhouse gases, which slows its escape from the atmosphere. Although greenhouse gases make up only about 1% of the Earth's atmosphere, they regulate our climate by trapping heat and holding it in a kind of warm air blanket that surrounds the planet. This phenomenon is known as greenhouse effect. So without it, scientists estimate that the average temperature on Earth would be colder by approximately 30 degrees Celsius, far too cold to sustain our current ecosystem. So now, what is the greenhouse effect? The greenhouse effect is a process by which radiated energy leaving the atmosphere is absorbed back into the atmosphere by some gases called the greenhouse gases. So this shows some examples of greenhouse gases by their contribution to the greenhouse effect. So we have water vapor. The contribution is 36 to 70%. Carbon dioxide, that's 9 to 26%. Methane is 4 to 9%. Ozone is 3 to 7%. So greenhouse effect results in global warming. Global warming is the increase in the average temperature of the Earth. All right. So in summary, the whole idea behind the greenhouse effect and the global warming is that the sun's radiation will usually just radiate on the Earth's surface and it will bounce back. So there are some gases which we call the greenhouse gases, and these are the water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, and ozone. So these gases will trap some of the radiated energy and keeping it on the Earth so that it doesn't bounce back. So without these, the energy from the sun will just bounce back, and the Earth will normally be colder than as we know. But this one also causes the warming of the planet. That is when the gases increase, then there is an increase in the general or the average temperature of the Earth. Then we have what we term by the global warming. So greenhouse effect is just the trapping of the sun's rays into the atmosphere by the gases called the greenhouse gases, and the global warming is the increase in the average temperature of the Earth. All right, now let's move on to effects of global warming. So the first one is desertification or desertification. Is that okay? It brings about desertification. The next one is drought. Then we have the next one, which is melting of polar ice caps. Then we have rise in sea level, which will intensify the strength and increase the number of hurricanes and other environmental disasters. The next one, we have extinction of plant and animal species. The next one, we have destruction of fertile land resulting in low crop yield, which leads to famine. And the next one is flood because of irregular atmospheric balance. So now most of the ice in most places are now melting. Is that okay? And it's causing a lot of the sea level to rise up, and it actually brings about the fear of flooding and stuff. Is that okay? All right. So what are the remedies for global warming? The first one is avoid cutting trees which absorb excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So when we cut trees, it means that carbon dioxide is going to be more in the atmosphere because the trees will absorb the excess carbon dioxide. So we have to avoid cutting trees. The next one is use energy efficient electronic appliances to reduce the amount of electricity used. Then the next one is develop the habit of walking, riding, bicycle, skating, etc. over short distances instead of doing so by cars or buses. The next one is use renewable source of energy such as the solar energy or solar cells, windmills, and the rest. The next one is avoid the use of inorganic fertilizers or pesticides and weed killers. The next one is proper disposal of refuse to reduce the emission of methane into the atmosphere. All right, so we are moving on to causes and effects of the ozone layers depletion. So causes and effects of depletion of the ozone layer. The ozone layer is a region in the stratosphere. That is the second layer of the atmosphere that absorbs harmful ultraviolet radiations from the sun, thereby protecting life on it. The ozone forms there by the action of sunlight on oxygen. This action has been taking place for many millions of years, but increase in the concentration of some greenhouse gases has resulted in the gradual depletion or destruction of the ozone layer. What is ozone layer depletion? This is the process whereby greenhouse gases, mostly chlorofluorocarbons and halogens, break up the chemical composition of the ozone layer, causing holes to develop in it. So the formation of holes in the ozone layer due to the destruction of the ozone molecules is called ozone depletion. The depletion of the increase in ultraviolet radiation, which may have serious negative effects on plants and animals. All right, so let's look at the effects of the depletion of the ozone layer. Skin problems such as skin cancer, wrinkled skin. So it is believed that in the olden years days, people used to grow longer than now because of the depletion of the ozone layer. So this is causing more people to age quickly and bring a lot of skin disease and stuff. Number two, depression of the immune system. So it makes the immune system to become weak. Number three, corneal cataracts, an eye disease that often lead to blindness. The next one is massive die-off of phytoplankton, and what leads to increase in global warming. The next one, number 5, destruction of chlorophyll in green leaves, resulting in low low crop yields. Is that okay? All right. Now we are moving on to acid rain and its effect. Acid rain. When we say acid rain, what is an acid rain? Acid rain is a form of air pollution which in which airborne acid produced by electric utility plants and other resources fall to earth in distant regions. The corrosive nature of acid rain causes widespread damage to the environment. The problem begins with the production of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides from the burning of fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, and oil, and from certain kinds of manufacturing. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides react with water and other chemicals in the air to form sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and other pollutants. These acid pollutants reach high into the atmosphere, travel with the wind for hundreds of kilometers, and eventually return to the ground by way of rain, snow, or fog, and as invisible dry forms. So the main causes of acid rain is sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. So you need to remember that. Alright, so we are now moving on to effects of acid rain. Acid rain. The first one is in the soil. Acid rain dissolves and washes away nutrients needed by plants. It also dissolves toxic substances such as aluminium and mercury, which are naturally present in some soils, freeing these toxic to pollute water or to poison plants that absorbs them. The next one is on plants and animals. The effect of acid rain on wildlife can be far-reaching. If a pollution of one plant or animal is adversely affected by acid rain, animals that feed on that organism may also suffer. Ultimately, an entire ecosystem may become endangered. So some species that live in water are very sensitive to acidity, some less so. Freshwater clams and mayfly young, for instance, begin dying when the water pH reaches 6.0. Frogs can generally survive more acidic water, but if their supply of mayflies is destroyed by acid rain, frogs population may also decline. Fish eggs of most species stop hatching at a pH of 5. Below a pH of 4.5, water is nearly sterile, unable to support any wildlife. So this is a forest which has been destroyed by acid rain, destroying all the wildlife in the place. Number 3, on buildings. Acid rain and the dry deposition of acidic particles damage buildings, statues, and other structures made of stone. So acid rain has been the cause of the destruction of some famous historic sites, such as the Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. So if you go to Egypt, you realize that the Pyramid of Giza is almost always wearing out because of acid rain. So this is a statue which has been destroyed by acid rain. And this is the effect of acid rain on buildings and stone structures. So as you can see, there's a pyramid. It has been destroyed by acid rain. On metals, acid rain is very corrosive and easily destroy metallic objects and structures. All right, so this brings us to the end of atmosphere and climate change. So we've learned about the atmosphere. We know the 5 main layers of the atmosphere: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. And we also know some human activities on the atmosphere. We also know about greenhouse effects and global warming. And we know about the 4 greenhouse gases. We also know some causes of global warming and the damaging effect of global warming and how we can reduce global warming. We also learn about the ozone layer, okay, which is a region of the upper layer containing a relatively higher concentration of ozone molecules that absorb higher energy and harmful UV radiation from the sun, thereby protecting living things. We also know how the ozone layer protects living things. We've learned about ozone depletion and its causes. And we learned about the effect of the ozone depletion and acid rain or acid precipitation. And lastly, effects of acid rain. All right. Now, these are some test questions which you should try. So you can pause the video and write these questions, and later on you try it. So explain the following regions of the atmosphere. The next one is list 3 human activities that contribute to global warming. Then mention 4 effects and 4 remedies of global warming. What is acid rain? Discuss the effects of acid rain on the following: buildings, soil, plants, and animals. Then metals. Discuss the sources and effects of the following pollutants: oxides of lead, nitrogen and sulfur, ozone, halogens or freons. Number 5, differentiate between the troposphere and the stratosphere in terms of the following: temperature, air composition, pressure. Then 6, briefly describe how the following human activities affect the atmosphere: transport, industrial processes, agriculture, electricity production. Then number 7, list 4 pollutants of the atmosphere, their sources and effects. So list them. Then what is the ozone layer? Mention 3 effects of the depletion of the ozone layer. What is global warming? State 4 effects of global warming. State 4 remedies of global warming. All right, so keep on practicing, keep on learning. Till we meet again. Adios for now. These have been Flowers About Science Highz. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Our website, sciencehighzacademy.blogspot.com. Visit it and you find more notes on this. So if you want to get the notes to write, make sure you visit our website, sciencehighzacademy.blogspot.com. All right, so I'm going to write our website down here so you can see it, so that you can visit it. Adios for now. Keep on practicing. Adios. All right, so that's our website down there. All right, so till we meet again. Adios. Keep on practicing. Adios.